Right, so we're live. And welcome to the Esports Trade Association's live LinkedIn broadcast. And before we get started, we're going to just give a couple minutes or so for those of you who are logging on to put your city or state in the comments so we can give you a shout out. So we'll give you guys a minute or so to get on. In the meantime, Jonathan, how is the weather there in Texas?
It's warming up now. We had a nice little snow and ice storm a few days ago.
I know. I saw some pictures online. It's like you guys, it's been crazy weather. So, Floridians complaining that they're having 40-degree weather, right? I'm in Charlotte. And so one day we're having snow, next day we're like 65. So
That's how
it's
we are.
crazy. That's what you guys are too, right?
Yep.
It's just really crazy. So yeah, so I guess we take it as it is. Like today was short sleeve. Yesterday I was in my office here and I had a blanket on my legs. But today I was able to go outside with a light jacket and it was all good. All right, folks, if anyone's watching us, I don't know if I see any watchers yet. We're going to give you guys another minute to let us know where you're watching from and what state, and just say hello so we can say hello to you. If you happen to be watching this and it's after 1 p.m. Eastern or 12 Central, if it happens to be after 1:30 Eastern or 12:30 Central, you're team replay. Okay. So we'll still answer your comments, but you'll be team replay. Hi, Julia from Chicago. Welcome to our show. Thanks for joining us. Julia, you're the first in line, so we're appreciative of that. And we're gonna probably wait maybe 30 more seconds, Jonathan, and then we'll get started. And anyone who comes later, they can catch up on the replay. So Julia, I don't think this is your first live, Julia. I think I've seen you on quite a few of these lives. So I know you're a great supporter of ESTA. And I'm not sure if you're a member, Julia, but if you're not, you definitely should become one. Thank you for your loyalty. Yep. All right, so it's now 2 minutes after the hour. So thanks, Julia. So we're going to get started. What do you think, Jonathan? Let's get started.
Sure.
All right, I'm going to introduce Jonathan. Jonathan, of course, is one of the... Hi, Maurice. Hi. And yes, Julia, I just heard from that you are actually a member. So thank you for being a member. And hi, Maurice from Chicago. So Chicago is in the house today. ESTA's headquarters. All right, Jonathan is one of our 2022 board of directors member, and he's an attorney with Kane, Russell, Coleman, Logan, PC in Dallas, and the leader of the firm's esports practice. He's a trusted attorney and advisor of numerous companies operating in the esports space. A leader in the Dallas esports business community, Johnathan is helping to grow one of the strongest regional esports business communities in the country. And of course, we are proud that Johnathan is serving as ESTA's chapter subcommittee chair and the chair of the chapter president. So Johnathan, thank you again for your service to the board and to the organization. I know it's been a pleasure for me working with you, hammering out the details of the chapters and the rules and the laws. Always good to have an attorney at the table, everyone. Hey, Shane. Good to have you on here, Shane. So it's always good to have an attorney at the table. So Johnathan, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I want to get into the whole chapter and what qualifies, a person to become a chapter, leader. But tell us a little bit about yourself and about what you do.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm an attorney at the law firm Kane, Russell, Coleman, and Logan in Dallas. We have about 80 attorneys between Dallas and Houston, full service law firm. So we have litigators, general business lawyers, real estate lawyers, you name it. We probably have someone who does it. But I am heading up the firm's esports practice, and I've done both player and team side negotiations. I currently represent just several businesses in different areas of the esports space. But I've been in the space for about 3, 4 years now. Um, and I host local networking meetups for the DFW esports community. Started those up before COVID. Had to take a bit of a break because of
Mhm.
COVID, and started them back up. And yeah, just trying to help build up the business community within the industry here locally, and hopefully through these chapters that we're launching uh, beyond the Dallas area.
Well, and it was that very reason, Jonathan, that caught our attention, right? What you were doing locally in Dallas that caught the attention of the leadership here at ESTA, because you were doing such a good job with the meetups that we thought, and I think you guys might have made a suggestion too, that why don't we, create these chapters, right? You're doing such a good job, and why don't you guys come under the ESTA umbrella? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you did in Dallas and how this morphed into you becoming esports ESTA's chapter president. And we're going to talk about how to qualify for starting a chapter, etc. But tell us how you grew your meetup so well, and what you did and that caught our attention.
Yeah, so they started, the very first one I hosted was just like a trivia night at a bar with me and 4 or 5 of my closer connections here in Dallas. And over, we started hosting, just doing it once a month. And over 3 or 4 months, it grew from about 5 people, including me, to 20 or so people. And that's what we were averaging before COVID. And then when we started them back up after COVID, we were maintaining the kind of 20 to 25 people at every meeting. And it's really just uh, informal kind of happy hours, everyone just talking with each other, meeting people, seeing what everyone's doing in the space, and hopefully building relationships so that they can collaborate or help each other out outside of these meetups. And we've had some really good success stories of people meeting at the meetups and then working together on projects outside of the meetups. And I was working with John Davidson, and that's how I got plugged in with ESTA. He started coming to the meetups, and we and a couple of our closer connections in the Dallas area were starting to talk about how we could get these kind of affiliated with ESTA and try to build them up even more, and use them to help ESTA grow. So that's kind of the 30,000-foot overview of how they have progressed over
Right.
the last 2 years, I guess.
Yeah, it is about 2 years, because I remember I heard about you guys about 2 years ago. So when you started your meetups, what was your vision for? What was the purpose of it? You wanted to just have esports people get together and geek out, or what? Potential collaborations. What was your vision for it?
When I first started getting plugged into the industry and meeting people here locally, we have a really robust business community in the esports industry here in Dallas. It's a great
Mhm.
city for the industry. But as I started meeting more people in the area, I realized that um, I was surprised that as many people didn't know each other as I was expecting. So I saw an opportunity to help foster uh, uh, people meeting each other in the industry, making it a closer knit business community. Um, so that was the primary focus of it, and like I said, it's been really successful since we started that.
Yes, to the point where you're now on our board of directors and you're now the chapter president. So tell me, how does a person qualify, right, for starting a chapter? What are you looking at? What are you looking for? And how do we qualify? So, there are people on the line today, and if somebody says, "Hey, I want to start a chapter," I see a Floridian on here, for example, from someone from West Palm Beach, Shane. If he says, I want to start a chapter, for ESTA in West Palm Beach, or, somebody over in Chicago, how do you qualify them? What do they have to do?
Well, first of all, we're launching the Dallas chapter as the first formal ESTA chapter. The plan is to launch it this month formally. Um, and we're looking for cities where there's a good following, a good community already, where there's interest in people meeting. Um, but we're really looking for people who are willing to invest in their local esports community and in ESTA. This is a very critical part of ESTA's growth plan this
Mhm.
year and beyond, the establishing of these chapters. And we're really looking for people who are dedicated to hosting these meetups, facilitating these chapters. Don't necessarily need to follow exactly what we're doing in Dallas, but we think that it's a good template. So trying to host or willing to host and facilitate monthly meetings, quarterly meetings, just something on a consistent basis so that we get consistent engagement from these local city or local members in these cities. And we're going to be requiring membership. You have to be a member at ESTA to attend these chapter meetings, to host or to be a chapter
President.
president. You have to be a
Mhm.
member. But the goal is to use these chapters to facilitate not only networking meetings, networking abilities, but also educational aspects. So one of the things we're planning on doing this year with the Dallas chapter is also providing educational experiences with our meetups. So having speakers, panels from local leaders, and that's what we would like to replicate in other cities and really be able to shine a spotlight on the local industry leaders. But yeah, to be a chapter president, just have to be willing to invest. We do have a application fee for these chapters, but it's really the commitment to give your time to really help the community grow.
I'm just getting, I'm not quite sure why, but I'm getting a note, Jonathan, in real time here that the broadcast on LinkedIn is live, but everyone has dropped off. It's not live according to this, but should have been. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. So, Lindsay, in our green room, if you want to check on that, let us know if you can tell us if there's anything going on that we should know. So we will continue until we hear differently. But I was just sent a text from one of our from my events committee sub chair chair co-chair, but we'll keep going. But because someone else says we're good. So you had mentioned, Jonathan, that and let me just ask in the chat if Eric or Shane or Al, if you guys are still there and still watching us, Maurice, Julia, let me know in the chat if you can still see us in the comments. We're gonna keep going. You mentioned, Jonathan, that the Dallas meetups had some success stories. Do you want to share one of those success stories with us so that people who are thinking about starting a chapter could begin to visualize, well, okay, what could be, what could it be? What are the opportunities, what are the upsides of starting a chapter?
Yeah, and nothing. I mean, I can't really think of the specific ones, but I know I've been told by several people that I think one of them was a videographer. He was able to work with someone that he met at one of the meetups on a project. Just instances of people working together. It's nothing. I don't think we have any specific deals or anything like that yet, but it's really just being able to collaborate and know that you have local resources
Mhm.
that you can harness through these chapters or meetups. But yeah, I mean, the success stories I was referring to is just people working on specific projects together.
Together, yeah, just the connections. It's really more about the networking. And
Right.
thank you, by the way, Eric and Wayne and Shane and Andreas and Julia and Julie. Everyone's fine. They're still there and they can still see. So maybe it might have just been that person's internet. So let me ask you a question. Is there any type of fee or anything involved in in becoming a chapter president. And like we have a link here on the screen, how to apply. And there's a lot of details on our website, by the way, everyone. But just to give you guys who are listening just an idea, what's all involved with that.
Yeah, and that link has all the information, but we are requiring a application non-refundable application fee of $1,000, and that goes toward the kind of helping the chapter get started. But there's a 3-month probationary period. So once you apply to start a chapter, we'll evaluate it. And if we think there's good potential in the city where the applicant is, we'll grant a 3-month probationary period. And it's really just a trial period of we expect you to host at least a couple events during that time. Let us know how the attendance is. And it really allows us to gauge the interest in that city of whether it's worth establishing a formal chapter there. And if everything goes well during that probationary period, then we'll grant formal chapter status. And that's generally how that process will go. We haven't obviously done it yet. Dallas is the first one, and we're still exploring cities. So if the people on this chat or on this live stream are interested in having one in their city, definitely post it. I see a comment there. Is there a New York chapter? Jason, that's definitely in the works. That's one of our top priorities. And I believe there's going to be a meetup either this month or next month, but we'll have announcements on that. But New York is definitely in the works. So stay tuned for that, Jason.
Jason, we'll try to connect you with the gentleman who has raised his hand to say, hey, I want to head up New York chapter. So we're going to try to connect you with him via social media so that maybe you guys can have a conversation, because one of the things that, Johnathan has outlined in the rules, right? Like I said, Johnathan and I spent a few months working on the rules of the chapter. And it's not, we're not saying it's perfectly done, because as Johnathan said, it's a work in progress. We're going to test it out. Dallas is launching, and we believe that they have 2 years, of practice. So they're launching, and we believe it'll be a great blueprint. But we know that as we bring on more chapters, there'll be different challenges that we're going to work through as we go. So Jason, we will connect you with the person from New York that we believe is that we know is starting one up. Okay. So Nana Jason's asked that question about New York. Do you have some cities in mind, Johnathan, that you think are the next best cities? So we know Dallas is kicking it off. New York is already trying to get their thing going. Oh, one more thing I wanted to remember in terms of Jason. Each chapter will have its own little mini board, okay? Own little mini board of, treasurer and secretary, etc. So Jason, if you have an interest, this is why I want to connect you with the gentleman from New York. Certainly can use, all hands on deck. So, yeah. So Johnathan, back to you. Name me some cities that you think would be the next 3 or so cities that you would like to see someone raise a hand and say, hey, I'd like to start a chapter here.
Yeah, so the kind of short list is New York, LA, obviously 2 of the bigger gaming hubs. Looking at Florida, kind of more regional. Atlanta is a big one, and Atlantic City / Philadelphia. I think they're about an hour and a half apart. So we're exploring that and really exploring the possibility of if there are major cities that are within an hour and a half, and trying to combine those geographic areas into one chapter. That's one thing we're going to have to figure out.
The regions, right?
How feasible that is, how receptive people are to it. But I think those are the initial primary targets that we're exploring and kind kind of getting our feelers out for who would be interested in those areas for leading chapters there.
And bear in mind what Johnathan said, right? There's a 3-month trial period. So if there's someone out there and they're thinking, maybe I'd like to think about this, right? There's 3 months before we say you're an official chapter. So what you could do, if you're interested, you could do what Johnathan did. They started having those meetups, informal meetups. That's what New York is going to do. Informal meetups, and see if there's enough interest in that geographic area. We don't want anyone driving more than an hour or so to a chapter. So that's why Johnathan says we have to work out regions. For example, in South Florida, we know there's Miami, we know there's Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach County. Maybe they could be one chapter, because it's like about an hour. If you're in the middle, it's about an hour each direction. And so the same for New York, because we're working on the New York chapter. And if there's any other region, right, that's thinking about it, you have 3 months where you will be supported by ESTA and by Johnathan as the chair to see if are you a good fit. Is your area ready? And we know one of the things that Johnathan and I discussed with the team is that with COVID, there might be a little bit of a challenge with the meetups. But we are also encouraging meetups via virtual, even just for the preliminary, to see, is there an interest? So there's really no excuse, really, if you feel like you have the leadership skills and the commitment to want to do a chapter, that you could even start a get to know you via virtual, right, Johnathan? We kind of talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, and I know different cities have different restrictions too for COVID, so that might be the most practical thing or the only option available in some cities. So yeah, no, virtual is definitely a possibility, and if anything, just to gauge interest on people's involvement.
Yeah. And what do you see, Johnathan? We talk about the next 3 cities, right? But what do you see a year from now? Do you see us having chapters in 10 cities? I mean, what do you see?
I'm hoping that we'll have 3 or 4 formal actual chapters within the year that have growing attendance or consistent attendance and member engagement. And then, I mean, obviously the goal is to use these in the years to come to hopefully expand even outside the US. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think for the first year, just trying to get a few core cities. I forgot the big one, Chicago. Chicago needs a chapter. But really looking to establish kind of core cities where we already have large membership concentrations, and with the best chance of people showing up and engaging, and then hopefully expanding that.
I just want to say, for those of you who are watching, we have another 10 minutes or less to go before we get to our 30-minute mark. If there's any question that you have, please feel free to ask it. Just want to do a little bit of a plug too for our upcoming event in Chicago in August. I think we're going to post a link for that. We are, registration is open. Okay, we had a great event last year, and we expect to have an even greater event this year. And so we're already open for registration. We're also going to be having an elevator pitch competition. So for those of you who are entrepreneurs or trying to pitch that idea, we're having an elevator pitch competition, and there's going to be 2 months of prep that's going to be offered, that we'll be teaching. I'll be teaching an elevator pitch competition class, an elevator pitch class. So there's a lot of details on our website. So please check out our website. If you're not a member of the Esports Field Association, you are missing out. Every week there's something new coming on. We just did a job board. We just had a great partnership with Encore. There's so many jobs being listed. We actually did our first placement just within 24 or so hours after the job board went up. So, there's a lot of benefits there. So please get on our website. Johnathan, within the remaining minutes that we have, okay, well, here's a question. Can we put up Julie's question? How is ESTA different from HSEL, NAECAD, or NASEF as far as networking? So I don't know those organizations, Jonathan. Are you familiar with HSEL, NAECD, and NASCF?
I'm only familiar with High School Esports League, HSEL, but I think just in general, ESTA has a very broad membership. I mean, we have people who are involved in all areas of the industry. We have pro orgs who are involved. We have colleges that are involved, high schools, just general businesses in the space, apparel companies, production companies. I mean, we have. I think if you're looking for something in the industry, there's likely someone in ESTA who does it. So that's what I think is most appealing for ESTA. We're not just limited to schools or education or whatever. It's broad membership, broad spectrum. Really, if you're interested in the space, if you want to get plugged into the space, even if you're not in it right now, it's just a great resource for someone looking to dive into the space and grow a career in the space.
One of the things I love about EST, and it's not because I, work with you all, but one of the things I love about ESTA is that the leadership is constantly looking for ways to add value to the members. Constantly, we have the coffee chats, we have the networking events. We're trying to even make the elevator pitch class even more expanded. It's a member benefit for those who are trying to pitch. We have the event coming up, which is great panels, like you said. We're trying to maybe do some workshops at the event this year. We have you have access to people who are very connected, because we encourage members to join these committees and to lend their voices, and you get to sit in the room with some people who are doing some really great things in the industry. So I mean, I see it from where I sit. So I think it's a great benefit to for anyone who's in the esports space, whether you're, as Johnathan said, whether you're a student or you are a established business. There's something for everyone there. We have another 2 or 3 minutes before we wrap it up. If you have any questions, please feel free. If you feel like your city you would have an interest in starting a chapter in your city, let us know. We have information on the website. We can give you more details there. But if there's any interest, let us know. Johnathan, all right. Tell us, Johnathan, in your words again, the value of being on our board. What do you think is the value of being on our board?
It's really just the ability to help this association grow. It's still a young association, but if anyone who was at the conference last year could see, it's really growing quickly. It's got great investment in it. I'm not talking about money investment. I'm talking about the members who are involved, the companies that are getting involved. It's really growing fast and is becoming a leader in the esports industry. And just the ability to be a part of the leadership team and help push it to continue that growth it's an amazing thing to be a part of. Yeah. And I'm really excited that these chapters are really going to help push it over the edge and really kind of help take it to its full potential. But I think this is going to be a great year for ESTA. I think the conference is going to be bigger and better than last year, which is hard to do because it was great last year. Yeah. But we're getting some really good feedback on what we're doing, and we have great board members too in different parts of the industry who really care about where ESTA is going, and it's just an exciting time.
Well, we're 29 minutes in, and I just want to say on behalf of ESTA, Julie says, do you have a direct email so we can set up a call with one of you? Julie, sure. Why don't if you want to speak with a chapter president, do you want to share your email, Johnathan, or email that? Yeah. Okay, so Johnathan will, I think you can type in the comments, Johnathan. If not, Lindsay, if you have Jonathan's email in the green room, you can put it in the comment for Julie. And Julie, if you need me, Lindsay, if you could list both Johnathan and myself, if you could list our LinkedIn, because you're controlling our comment screen there, Linz. If you could put our LinkedIn profile in there, then Julie can connect with us via LinkedIn as well, in DM, so get in touch with her.
Yeah,
So
I can't type anything.
yeah, I can't type anything either. So Lindsay, you can just list link Jonathan's and myself's LinkedIn profile, so Julie can have access to that as well. And I have to agree with you, Jonathan. The growth since September 2022, 2021 of our conference has been astounding. It has been astounding. We're very pleased to have you on the board, and we're pleased to have the other members on the board as well. We've had some really great talent join us. Our advisory board is, I mean, just some talented people. You'll see at our next board meeting. Just so many people who are looking to do great things in the industry, to be ethical, to be in integrity. Which is things that we at ESTA, espouse. Integrity and all that great stuff. And so we are really pleased to see the trajectory, where we're going, and glad that you could be there. Can non-members attend a few Dallas events before committing to a membership? Jonathan, you want to take that question?
Yeah, so the plan is anyone can attend the meetups. They're going to be free for ESTA members, and there will be a $10 cover for non-members. And that's going to be starting next month. The February meetup that we're planning right now, that's going to be the formal Dallas launch, will be free for everyone. We'll be announcing the chapter, giving more information. But next month, we'll be starting to charge the fees, and we'll have registration for the event where you can pay the fee online if you're not a member. But that will be how all the chapters will be moving forward. Non-members will have to pay a cover, and members can attend for free. It's an added benefit of being an ESTA member and having access to all the networking offerings.
I hope that answers your question, Eric. So yes, you can certainly attend for $10. Not, just a very nominal fee. And again, for those people who may be considering doing a chapter, there's a lot of back end support that's going to be coming from the organization, because we're going to ask for people to set up their own LinkedIn page, because we want it to be a real community for you. We have the ESTA's LinkedIn page, but we are encouraging chapter members to have their own little subgroups or their own LinkedIn page, so that they can feel like they are a true community and part of the bigger ESTA community. But there'll be a lot of support for the leaders from the ESTA's team as well.
And if you want to, we have a current DFW group right now. It's called DFW Esports Group. It'll be changed to DFW ESTA chapter, but that's on LinkedIn, and you can just take a look at that to see how we're using the LinkedIn. But the goal of these is to be able to promote what everyone is doing in the space. Use these groups, use the LinkedIn local group to post things about what you're doing. Promote your business. But yeah, this is all designed to be a resource for everyone.
They're asking, Eric is asking to share the Dallas chapter LinkedIn info. So Lindsay, if you have the Dallas group's LinkedIn information, please share that. If not, Eric, we share Jonathan Jordan's LinkedIn profile, so you could DM him and connect with him there, and then he could share that with you as well. We also share Jonathan's email address. One of the things I would say as I'm ending, the whole point of even doing these chapters, as Jonathan says, and expanding beyond what we're doing, is because we want to add value to the esports industry, and that value begins with us adding value to you individually. And so everything that we do is about adding that value. And so we invite you, if you're not a member, to think about becoming a member. And at least if you're in the Dallas area, check out Jonathan's Dallas meetup. It's only $10 to test it, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, and these chapters, they're designed to. They're only as effective as the members are engaged in the chapter. And luckily in Dallas, we have a really good group of people who consistently come out or constantly talking with each other outside of the meetups. But ultimately, the chapter is going to be as effective as the members are willing to be engaged. So
Mhm.
it's really important that we get leaders for these chapters who are really, like I said, dedicated to facilitating that. Um, and sometimes thinking creatively to try to get members out together, whether it just be facilitating an activity or bringing in speakers or whatever. That's really what we're looking to do.
Yeah. So, all right. So it's 35 minutes past the hour. And so if there are no more questions, we'll give 10 seconds for one more question. And if not, we're going to wrap it up. Johnathan, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. It's been a pleasure, of course, working with you these last, couple months as you really, put your thoughts together and give us that wonderful, legal blueprint that we can work with, trying to keep everyone in the right lines. It's been amazing just watching you. And I know that you're a lawyer with integrity. And so I wish you great personal success in your business as well as success on our board. So I think that's it, folks. Thank you guys for joining us, and thank you for your comments and your questions. And of course, you can feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. Take care.